Every meal has a story to tell. That is, if you're willing to look for it. I'm Danielle Pruitt, and I started Wild and Whole with the mission to reawaken our connection to food and to empower us to develop meaningful relationships with the ingredients on our plate.
You're not just farming sustainably, you're regenerating.
As a cook, I'm driven by curiosity, and my inspiration springs from harvesting ingredients directly from its source. I've spent the past decade of my life trying to eat consciously, and believe me, it's not always easy. But it's taught me the value of our food and resources. And of course, it brings me so much joy in the kitchen.
Whoa!
I want to challenge your perception of what food is, where it comes from, and how those two elements are woven into our lives. Because connecting to our landscape through food means so much more than just the calories that sustain us. Welcome to Wild and Whole Sourced. I've always believed in connecting to our food, and not just meat, but everything else on our plate. The food I cook at home is very whole food driven, and I love to eat seasonally with a variety of fruits and vegetables. I enjoy supporting local farmers as often as possible, but as an avid gardener, I found that growing my own food is truly a rewarding experience. I've recently moved to a new home and I'm starting another garden from scratch. I'm eager to grow a new variety of legumes that'll be perfect for this climate, the purple hull pea. Since it's my first time growing them, I've decided to seek expert advice, and I know just the person. Misty Newcomb has been growing, harvesting, and cooking with this pea since she was a child, a tradition handed down to her by her grandparents. I'm traveling to Arkansas to the Newcomb farm to learn a little bit more about the history behind this pea and how to have a successful harvest. What's interesting about the purple hull pea is the history and story it carries. Cowpeas were brought to the U.S. by slave trade and are fundamental to the American South. The tradition of good luck soup is to bring luck into the new year, but cooking with this pea is also a way to honor the culture it comes from.
Okay, let's get started with this soup. As far as the peas go, I see them fresh, I see them dried. What's your favorite way of cooking with them?
Well, I think that they actually end up tasting the same, to be real honest.
Really?
This is a little bit nuttier, a little bit fresher. I think the big draw to dried peas is the shelling process.
Oh, it's
right?
easier because when it's dry, it can kind of break apart.
You could just break it apart, like you just kind of split it up.
Well, let's use dried because I love the idea of infusing it with all the ingredients here because I see a ton of spices.
The real flavor, I'm going to be honest, is going to come from your broth, like having a really high quality stock, and it's going to come from, your aromatics. There's bay leaves somewhere around here.
Does a lot of your food here in Arkansas have Cajun influence?
If you think about Southern food in general, then you're going to have a lot of really the African diaspora. So whether that's, you've got Caribbean influences, you have what we think of as traditionally Southern food is not like really, African. It didn't emerge from Georgia. It emerged from the African Americans who were cooking for people, and that is in everything that we do. Pea farmers, they've got it hard. It's not like an easy life. You have to plant these 4 inches apart, which is a lot.
Really close.
And you have to plant so many to get. Clay was saying, hey, I wish you would grow more so that we could have these like once a month. And I was like, do you know how much of our garden real estate, number one, and also my back? Because bending over, digging little holes 4 inches apart, gosh. You plant them really close together, or at least that's how we do it.
We're talking about so many different elements to this pea that is representative of the culture, but the hardships that people went through. And I think today, being able to cook it, it's sort of a way to honor the people before you. It's something I've never grown before, and I love experimenting with new things, new foods in general, especially when it comes to cooking, but also the element of growing it and watching a seed become this food that you cherish is very cool.
Yeah.
So we've got caramelized onions.
This is where we add our chicken broth. And I think it's always worthy to just look at it and celebrate it. We call it liquid gold around here.
Yep.
So I think that there's like a ratio of beans to broth that I'm looking for. That's kind of how I decide how much to add. like what's in the pot right now is probably a 1-to-4 ratio. The beans are gonna soak it up and they're gonna swell up and they'll look a little bit more like the ones that are fresh by the time they're done. So this is gonna take forever. So usually while this happens, we cook cornbread. And so what we do is we're gonna just add this in here. I'm also gonna add a little bit of the broth here. So we're gonna take care of the bitterness of greens. So I just told you all the healthy things that we do. Like we don't put a bunch of sugar in our cornbread. We don't make it as sweet as the kind I had growing up. But I imagine if you're gonna eat greens and you're gonna make them really wonderful, you're gonna have to add some stuff. So we're gonna add some of our bacon. In fact, we've reserved most of our real crispy pieces of bacon for this. We're gonna add that in here because we want that fat to be cooking. We are gonna add sugar to this.
Oh.
And so Clay will travel to Canada for bear hunting season. He's got, he hunts up there and he'll bring me back some Canadian maple syrup. And we add that at the very end. But we're gonna let this just cook down for right now, and we're gonna keep an eye on it because in the cooking down, we don't want it to be mushy. And that's kind of a common way to have it, is where it just becomes like mush. And some people really like that, and those people don't really love this.
There are two kinds of collard green people.
And I'll be honest, I've never had collard greens like this except for here.
Oh, okay.
I mean, when I say some people, I mean like the Newcombs really like it like this.
So how do we serve this? How do we plate it?
Okay, so there's a couple different ways you can do it. Some people like to separate their food out. We go all in, one bowl.
Put it all.
Just, go beans, greens, cornbread on the side, and the cornbread soaks up the juice.
Perfect, all right. So I brought a gift. This is something I made. It's a zucchini relish, sweet and spicy. It reminds me a lot of chow chow. Okay. And so back home when we eat something very similar with our cowpeas, and we do smoked hocks and collard greens, we add this to the top.
Very
so
nice.
I'm gonna share this with you.
How exciting.
But I think it's probably very similar to what you have going on with the greens, to add sort of that vibrant, acidic, and sweet element that I think sort of makes the peas pop.
Nice.
At least that's what I'm thinking in my head. So
you're gonna do this the Newcomb Farm way, where you just throw it right on top?
I am.
Mix it all together?
I'm gonna combine everything all in one thing. Here you go. Thank you for sharing this. I feel like this is such a special meal to have, because I know you took a long time to shell these peas.
Yeah, it's really good. I really like it with this relish. It gives it like a pop with every bite.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're so welcome. You're so welcome. Thank you for coming to the Newcomb Farm and eating.
Oh my gosh, this is awesome.
And paying appropriate homage to the purple whole pea. We've talked a little bit about seeds and about the value of seeds in our history. One of the things that we've learned inside of gardening is the value of using local seeds that do well in the local environment. Whenever I first started gardening, I wanted all the colorful things, and I still do. Like, I still try to grow a purple head of broccoli every year. I mean, it's fun. But one of the things that I learned is, if you really want to have success, do what grows well in your community. And my great aunt told me that my great grandparents would go to a seed shop in town, and every season, and I started looking for one here. And the place that we found that sells seeds, that is just full of local seeds and the varieties that local farmers use, is called Chicken Holler.
Oh, fun. I would love to go, and I want to see what seeds y'all are growing and sort of compare it to what I find back home, and then I will probably take some home.
All right.
And after a delicious and fulfilling meal, we head down the road to Chicken Holler, Misty's local seed shop, to see what varieties grow best in this area and to talk about the importance of seed saving.
Oh,
Pretty
so
flowers, and you can get like all the hanging things, but you can also get blueberries and strawberries.
Oh, this is like my heaven here.
Saving seeds is about more than just growing. It tells the story of our past and connects us with our community. It's a critical component to preserving seed diversity, knowing that we have varieties of fruits and vegetables, each with different culinary attributes, and ensuring the future of food production.
I've always wondered how long I can keep seeds for. Every year I'm like, is this gonna grow? Yeah. It's kind of old.
Tomatoes save the best, and like corn and beans, you'll get like 50% germination if you save them in the freezer, but not, not 90 or 100.
The seed part of the store is my favorite part. I kind of feel like a kid in a candy shop every time I come. I love taking pictures because they set their seeds up not in packets. I mean, you can buy packets of seeds, but they're like bulk bins here. So it's worth looking. It's a lot of the seeds that we have saved over in our farm for the last couple of years originated here.
Oh, wow. Oh, that sounds so fun. I would love to explore your seed library.
Yeah.
And you're gonna have to tell me which seeds are sort of regional to this area that are special, and I'm just curious to see.
It's not every day you see a shop like this, and their selection of seeds and local knowledge plays such an important role in supporting the gardening community.
I used to teach in preschool classes, and we would always try to have bins like this for little kids to play in, and I think this is the adult version of it. I kind of feel like when you come here, it feels like you're going to an old general store, where you can get everything.
I don't think I've ever seen a store that carries seeds like this.
Yeah, and all of these will grow locally. And I think that's one of the really valuable things. We value local food. I mean, if you're growing your own food, you value extremely local food. Yeah. So we value local food, but we should also value the people who help make that possible. Yeah. And we were really warned there's going to be seed supply shortages, and that was the case for, like, I like to grow some kind of funky flowers that aren't really native here, but I can get anything that I need to feed my family right here. Mm-hmm. Strawberries are outside, things like that. So I think it's really important to find local places that service and support farmers.
Absolutely. Even if somebody who's relatively new to gardening, going to a place like this, if I have any questions, I know that probably a lot of people in that room are going to be able to help you and answer those questions.
So we talked earlier today about cowpeas, and if you look here, so this is pink eye purple whole peas. I mean, this is what we ate today. And like I said, where we grew up, it was like, and I think part of it is that the soil there was not as good. And so if you go to different parts of the state where the soil is not as good, then people are more interested in, I mean, these are going to put nitrogen in your soil. Oh, yeah. They're going to be powerhouses. I mean, they're going to give more than they take.
I never really realized before I started gardening what the difference was between like a green bean and a purple hull pea, and then like a bean, like that, a dried bean. And I mean, I knew the difference between cooking, but not like botanically speaking, and the way that, those purple hull peas and beans are really made, to be preserved for those times of need, and like thinking ahead. I think that's interesting.
Yeah.
Back at Misty's, we prepare for the seed swap, a community gathering that Misty's hosting on the Newcomb farm. This allows farmers to share and congregate around something that sustains their lives and provides an outlet for all the love they've planted all year.
So Misty, what do we have here?
Okay, so we have a bunch of dead flowers right here, and we have corn that we let dry on the stalk for a long time, and so it's really hard. This is our sweet corn, and what we're going to do is we're going to turn them into seed packets to give out at the seed swap tonight.
I love that we have all these flowers separated and packets to give to everybody, but as you know, I'm starting out my garden, and I'm really anxious to grow some purple hull peas.
Yeah, so I'm gonna send you home with some Newcomb Farm purple hull peas.
Thank you.
I'll take you over to the garden and show you how we're getting ours started.
Yeah, let's go see it.
This is our first time to ever use this soil for gardening. So you can kind of see a difference if you look at the soil over there and over here, and that soil is a lot darker. The mounds of the rows are a little higher because every year they get just a little bit higher because we just add organic matter to it. I learned this method by doing flowers, this method of netting more than trellising, but we're just gonna put a piece of wood here, a stake here, you know, one halfway down, and then at the end, so we're gonna make like a little rectangle, and then we're gonna put the net on top of it and tie it up.
Okay.
And then as they grow up, as the seeds grow up, then I'm gonna just sort of make sure they're growing through the square. So this is great because it's ready to roll, and I can move the net as I see them needing, as they start to grow up.
Okay.
As I see them needing support. Okay, so thank you all for showing up to our first annual seed swap. Sparkle fingers. Okay. A couple years ago, y'all know the story of Dee Dee's mom and how she got Alzheimer's, and we couldn't really talk about much with her, but she could talk about farming and gardening because that was like way long-term memory that she still had. And I planted some seeds that she talked about. She talked about Kentucky Wonders and talked about like the value of green beans, and if you were gonna, it wasn't worth planting green beans unless you planted Kentucky Wonders. So we planted them, and every year we eat them and we serve them to her grandkids, many who are running around here. And every time we see those plants, we think about her. And I think that this is really special because when we put these plants and these seeds in the ground, we're gonna think about each other in our gardens. And everything is better, life is better if shared in community. And so I think this is a really special way to take what we all love to do and to take what we've been doing digitally to a whole new level. So thank you all for showing up and being a part. In case you're wondering when to cheer, it's when I do this.
Back in my home state of Texas, I planted the purple hull pea seeds that Misty gave me. These peas love intense heat and can grow from late spring to early fall. It's been a joy watching these plants grow, and I've already learned a lot about my microclimate and the local pests, such as the leafcutter ants. Within a few months, the peas are ready for harvest, and I'm so excited for Misty to join me in my garden and celebrate with a meal.
Until I really started to research, I didn't realize that they're actually very popular here.
Okay.
And I know that in some of our communities,
Right, yeah.
like we have a purple hull pea festival.
Do you really?
Yeah, in Texas. And so I know there's a lot of regions in Texas that can grow it, and I
Yeah.
think it's just those zones where it can get really hot.
Yeah.
The difference maybe our rainfall is
Right.
probably a significant difference. I think you told me you don't even irrigate your garden.
Not this time of year, I don't. I mean,
That's crazy.
yeah, we don't water that often. Come August, we'll need to water usually. Last year we had a really dry August, so I had to water, but during this time of the year we get floods. So in Arkansas we have to stake them because the leaves get so heavy because there's so many, and I think it is the water.
I think it has to be the water.
And no mystery
They
killers.
were very full before the
Yeah.
ants came and stripped them.
Yeah.
But you'll see huge mounds of ant hills, and so that's when they like get the heavy duty
Yeah.
chemicals out. But I don't
Yeah.
really want to
No,
do that.
of course not.
So one thing I'm interested in learning from you, Misty, is sometimes I see them fresh.
Yeah.
And then there's like the dried version, and
Right.
which is what you pick.
Right.
So I've noticed that these peas go through different stages
Right.
of being green to purple.
Right. Yeah, they start off green, and usually they're a little small. Once they get full size, they start to turn purple. If we pick this one off and we start to, because it's so green, what we're gonna see inside of there is like a bright green with a pretty heavy purple dot on it.
Let's just pick it and see. Before we shell these, I want to pick a few more ingredients
Okay.
from the garden for cooking today.
Great.
All right. All right, let's shell some peas. We actually have a bit more of a handful than I originally thought.
Yeah,
I'm
you've
impressed.
got a pot of soup here.
The ants left me some.
So you've got a couple different kinds here. You've got these green ones, and these are fresher, obviously, and so they're gonna be prettier, but they're gonna be a little harder to shell. That one is a
Do you
dry
hear
one,
that?
you can hear it.
This
Yeah.
is a good one. Oh my gosh. So do you have a method? You've done this so many times, you've probably got like a system down, huh?
Yeah. The main thing I like to do is just hear them drop. So that's, once you get it split, you can just rip her open like that.
So I think what I'm gonna do is take this little handful of dried beans and I'm just gonna plant them probably tomorrow and try to get some more going. But we have a little bit of fresh peas and I've got a couple different out of the box ways of cooking them. One is that they're gonna be cooked in a salted water and pureed into a hummus.
Okay.
And then the other way I want to prepare that is sort of a summertime cold salad with a lot of those fresh tomatoes. So it's just so warm out here. I just wanted something really refreshing.
Yeah.
One of the cool things I kind of realized when I started gardening is that it's similar to cooking with wild game, and when you compare wild game and domestic, you have this idea in your head that it's going to be this like standardized, uniform thing, and wild game is certainly not. Everything they eat affects the flavor, and gardening is the same way. You get lots of different shapes and sizes. The heat can really change the way something tastes, how much you've been watering it. I just think it's really cool to be able to experience food in that way.
What time of day you pick it changes a lot of things taste.
So I want to marinate the peas so that they sort of soak up a lot of flavor. And the way I do that is to make a really basic vinaigrette with some lemon and some garlic. All right, so the last thing we're gonna add before all the marinade is some really thin sliced red onion.
Okay.
Because I like onion. Do you like onion?
I do like onion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Never know. Okay, that's probably enough. I'll add this in, and then the peas will go in.
Oh, it's so pretty.
And then the vinaigrette. I like a lot of marinade.
Do you?
I do. But that's probably plenty in there.
All right.
So we can just wrap this up, store it in the fridge because I want to eat it cold. All right, so these peas are super, super soft and like mushy. That's what I want to get a really smooth hummus. So I'm gonna put this in the blender, and if you wouldn't mind, I've got a head of garlic that's roasted, and I wanna put the whole thing in there.
The whole shebang.
So just squeeze the garlic cloves out, and then I'm gonna puree this with a little bit of yogurt, because I found that once I started making this the traditional way, which is with tahini, I noticed that it was like a little brown, and I thought that was unappealing. So the yogurt is actually really nice because it whitens it a little bit, and then it also just adds some tang, which I think is really nice. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this part going, if you don't mind doing that.
I don't mind.
Probably not the most authentic way to eat it, but I think it is my favorite flatbread. I like it a lot more than pita, and so it's just, to me, a nice little way to dip. So I'm gonna go ahead and spoon this into a bowl, and then pour a bunch of olive oil on the top. And then this is sort of a garnish. It's really nice and cold. It's cucumber, shallot, parsley, lemon juice. So it's just kind of that like refreshing little thing. I think it just adds a little something extra to the hummus.
Yes. I've got respect for what you've done here.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I just like to spend time making things look pretty.
Yeah, it looks
then
great.
you can sit back and enjoy it as something you've accomplished.
Oh yeah.
I don't know why.
This is art.
Like you can see it.
This is beautiful.
A big part to this component is like the cold crunch texture with the soft, really smooth. I think what I like about the peas is how easy it was to get it so smooth.
Yeah.
It's like compared to a dry bean. And I think this would be better to make the hummus with the fresh frozen peas because they're just, I think, soft.
Yeah.
Well, I've got another thing that I want to cook for you, and I feel like we've been talking so much about nostalgic dishes and memories. So I want to cook for you a Texas sheet cake. Have you eaten a lot of sheet cakes?
I have had. Yes. Remember, I was actually born in Texas.
That's
so
right.
yeah.
So that to me is my childhood.
Okay.
The way it smells, the way it looks, everything, and I really love it. So I'm gonna make that
Exciting.
next.
Okay, great.
So for the main dish to serve with the pea salad, I wanted to do something kind of fun that I haven't cooked in a long time that's special to me, which is a pheasant cutlet. We used to live in North Dakota. We did a lot of bird hunting, and pheasant is just something that's really special to me to have on the menu because we don't live there anymore and we don't have them out our back door. So anytime I have them in the freezer, I just wanted to share them with you. Have you had pheasant?
I was going to say, fun fact, I've never eaten pheasant.
Oh,
I'm super
great.
excited about
I'm
it.
so excited to share this with you. This is from our last fall hunting trip, and it's our last pheasant in the freezer.
Okay. So I get the last one. I'm
yes,
excited
it's
about
very
it.
special.
All right.
And it'll cook so quickly in the pan.
Nice. Okay.
But it'll get really nice and crispy and crunchy and delicious.
Perfect.
So I'll let you pound that out. I'm going to get a pan and oil ready.
Okay.
Pepper. Okay. And now we'll go dredge it in the flour first, then the egg mixture, and then roll it in the panko. All right, I think we have everything we need. We'll serve this salad with a pheasant cutlet, and we can go eat.
Great.
All right. Misty, thank you so much for coming all the way to my home to eat with me and to garden with me. I'm a little bit amazed that we're able to pull off this kind of a meal that so much of it has been grown ourselves or hunted myself. So thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing this with me. It looks beautiful
Thank
and
you.
wonderful. And same thing, it's always exciting to eat a meal that you sourced yourself.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. Like I know where everything came from. And I just think it's pretty cool that you grew these all the way in Arkansas, and then I picked them up, and then I grew them. I just think the whole process to be sitting here and eating some of them
It's so special.
is very special.
Yes.
I hope that, assuming that I'm going to figure out this new garden area, that I'm going to be able to grow more successfully and then pass this on, because I don't think it's something that is done very often in this day and age.
Yeah.
It's very special.
It is special. And I think the whole experience of these peas and sharing them with you has been just such a community experience and has really been kind of what this lifestyle, to me anyway, is all about.
Imagine if people didn't do that, I wouldn't be able to fully put this meal together.
It's true.
Growing your own food is a rewarding experience, both in terms of self-sufficiency and in creating a delicious meal. What I've learned through growing the purple hull peas is that the food we eat can carry a lot of meaning. Seeds are more than just the start of a plant or sustenance. They're a symbol of our culture. They represent the stories of our nation's past and can become a link to our local community.